I mean, did you get the questions?
Oh, Superior Merchandise Co. at gmail.com.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So somebody who was not...
Is it me?
No.
I messed it up
definitely.
before. Did I mess it up on the first one?
Oh, yeah.
Bring her in. Let's talk about how we messed up again. Welcome back to another episode of Follies in Technology.
An engineer and a self-proclaimed graphic designer.
Living in an urban desert this year on Comic Sans.
Welcome back to the Upstate Coffee Collective podcast.
Welcome back.
My name's Matt Pfeiffer. My co-host is Kevin Miner.
That's right.
Today we are talking to Felicity.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin, you usually have some introductory questions to ask our friend.
Oh my God. Well, right off the bat, good friend of the podcast. We love Superior Merchandise and Co. And we love Touchy Coffee. And you are one of the people who make those things possible for us. Felicity, we always ask people right off the bat, who are you, how are you, and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Felicity Jones. I am co-owner of Superior Merchandise Company and Touchy Coffee in Troy, New York. And I'm great. Saturday is my favorite day of the week. I get to work in the shop. Sun was out today. Patio's open. Everybody was in a good mood. So yeah, Saturdays are great in my world. And what do I do? A lot of things. I wear many hats. Some a lot cooler than others. One of my main jobs is kind of graphic designer, creative director, brand person for Superior and Touchy Coffee. So I do all the things that kind of make those brands look as nice as they do. I am in charge of beverage buying at Superior. So all the non-coffee drinks you see in there is kind of me. I do a lot of the menu development of the specialty drinks and all the beer, wine, kombucha buying, that stuff. I also have acted as GM at Superior Merch for the almost 6 years that we've been open. And now kind of my role that I'm leaning hard into for Touchy is helping with sales and getting new accounts. And that is a whole new world for me. So it's been really fun to start working on that.
So yeah, like you said, you wear many hats. And first of all, I got to congratulate you on two like incredible brands. I want to say that Touchy Coffee and Superior Merchandise are like two of my favorite brands just from like an aesthetic point. And all the people that you've employed are just amazing. And I look up to Matthew Loyacono.
Coffee Dad.
We literally talk about Coffee Dad every day on the podcast.
We talk to him every day.
We do also talk to him every day. Yeah, he's the best.
Our team is unreal, and we definitely wouldn't be where we are right now if it wasn't for them, for sure.
Yeah, agreed. You just interviewed someone before you came here. I kind of I do want to touch on that at some point, but the first question I wanted to ask you is, which one of those hats, of the many hats that you wear, did you put on first?
Graphic design is what I went to school for, and what I did in my life prior to owning a small business. And I actually, so I worked like a regular 9-to-5 desk job at multiple different places as a graphic designer. And I still do a lot of client work. I have some pretty incredible clients that I'm super happy about and proud of. So I still do as much graphic design work as I can in between things, because it is like what I'm really passionate about, and it really doesn't ever feel that much like work to me because I really enjoy it. So that is my first and favorite hat, honestly.
Ooh, well, that's good. I've noticed that you have a love of font types. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
But like not just like normally people have like fonts that they appreciate seeing. No, you're like into fonts. Did that start like? Are you one of those? Were you one of those kids who like wrote their name every way possible during calligraphy and art class, or like did you just get into that, or was that something that like came along with the graphic designing?
I have been into doodling, writing my name all over notebooks in school, that kind of thing. I made a lot of homemade greeting cards when I was younger, and like not even just younger, like all throughout high school for boyfriends and stuff. I was like kind of known for like making the best greeting cards.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of always been there and has slightly developed over the years, you know.
That's awesome.
Wouldn't that be a sweet high school accolade? Like, you know, like
best greeting card?
Yeah, like most likely to succeed, most most athletic, best greeting cards.
Most likely to buy out Hallmark?
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted to?
I wanted to work for Hallmark so bad in high school.
Really?
Like that's what I wanted to do when I grew up.
Oh, damn. And then so you go to school for graphic design. Where did you go?
Cazenovia. It's out near Syracuse. Super tiny liberal arts school. Yeah.
I looked into Cazenovia because I was also in the graphic design world when I was looking for school. Yeah, I ended up going a different route, but I fell in love with graphic design. I've actually fallen back in love with it recently too.
You've been doing a good job, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah. I've been messing around with Adobe Illustrator again and shit. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I think it's just nice design is an important thing.
Agreed.
Good design. Yeah.
What was the experience at Cazenovia like?
Fun.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a tiny town. More cows than people. Like I graduated high school with 35 kids.
Whoa.
So yeah, really tiny. So I knew I didn't really want to go to a huge school, and so Cas was bigger than my high school, but not like a big school by any means. So yeah, it was good. I excelled in my classes. I like not to toot my own horn. This is actually really weird to say out loud, but I won like a bunch of awards and was basically the best graphic designer in my grade.
Yo.
Yeah. No, that's what's up.
Awesome.
That's not tooting your own horn. That's stating a cool fact.
Yeah, that is literally just a fact.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, obviously, you've had a passion for it. You get out of school. You're in the graphic design world. And was there something that like just there was like an entrepreneurial itch that you had to scratch, or what was the factor that was kind of the switch maker for you moving from graphic design into being an entrepreneur? Yeah.
So basically, my original business thought/plan was that I was going to have a graphic design studio with a small, like, curated retail section in the front, similar to what Superior has now. And that was just going to be me, solo, only person working there, super chill. And then I met Mike. We traveled a lot when we first got together, and we both started getting more into the beverage world, craft beer, wine, and coffee. And that's kind of how this all morphed into what it is now. Just like started getting into coffee, started going to coffee shops when we were traveling to bigger cities. And just then when we were here in the capital region, there was just really hardly anywhere to get a good cup of coffee. This was, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. So the coffee scene here has changed drastically since then, thankfully.
Big time.
Yeah.
And only for the better.
That's kind of how that all happened. And that's where the cafe component came in. It's just because we kind of wanted to create a space that we saw the need for and that we wanted to go to.
You know, I do want to ask one question I think is important, because everybody here in this conversation knows what Superior Merchandise Company is, right? But for our listeners, could you give like a kind of a brief overview of what Superior Merch is and what that little shop is like, and also, yeah, where it is?
Yeah, totally. So Superior Merchandise Company is in downtown Troy, New York on 4th Street. And it is a specialty coffee shop, curated retail shop, and a community gathering space. Everything we kind of bring in and do is all geared towards getting closer to our community. That kind of thing is really important to us and one of our main goals. It's been a little harder to do with COVID. Can't really do as many community events as we once did, but still, you know, trying to do what we can. We actually added a kind of grocery / pantry component to Superior since COVID started. So that's been actually a big piece of the puzzle recently and has been doing really well because there is no grocery store in downtown Troy. So we kind of are providing some grocery basics to our neighborhood. Yeah.
That way people don't have to, you know, go over the river or down, you know, down a ways to get groceries, right? You can just kind of like, if it's in your neighborhood. I've always loved that idea of living in a city, is being able to just like be in your neighborhood
grocery store.
Yeah, and just kind of like walk down the street and grab whatever you need. And I love that community.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, and Troy kind of has that feel a little bit, but then also I think from my perspective, at least, switching over to having a lot of those essential things last year was a really good move on your guys' part. It really showed like a level of care for the community.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, we weren't sure how it was going to go, but first we started off small with like just like putting the stuff that we were buying to use behind bar out on the shelves as well. So our sourdough, our milk, that kind of thing. But then everybody was like, oh, this is great. This is great. So then we started getting local produce, local eggs, bacon, more pasta. And so almost everything in the pantry section is local.
That's great.
So, yeah. So supporting other farmers and makers as well and stocking that stuff.
Yeah. And obviously that seems like it's something that you're going to keep as you move forward with Superior.
Yeah. We decided that it was a really good fit, actually. So we're going to continue to grow that section of
one of the things,
kind of a little bit of everything right now.
Yeah.
Coffee, beer, wine, kombucha, home goods.
Ooh, hell yeah. That's one of the things that I love about Superior Merch, and I wish we had something like that closer to Saratoga, because Albany's not that far.
We don't have that.
Albany and Troy, like, they're not that far away, but they're just far away enough that it's a bit of a trip, you know?
So
especially
I love
with that Northway traffic.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
The Twin Bridges, am I right?
Yikes. So one thing that we really wanted to get into is kind of how you took Superior Merchandise from concept to a reality.
Actuality,
yeah. What was that like? And you know, there's so much uncertainty and planning and networking and figuring out exactly what you're going to do. What did that look like? And you know, maybe just tell us sort of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, I'm not sure if this is what I should be saying out loud, but like me and Mike had never run a business before, ever. Neither of us had ever taken a business class or worked in hospitality. I'd never worked in the service industry before. I've never worked a coffee job other than Stewart's. I did work at Stewart's in high school.
Oh,
shout out.
Small town Stewart's.
So we knew the kind of space that we enjoyed, and from experiencing it elsewhere. And so we definitely had a good idea of like the space we wanted to create in our heads, but getting there was wild. I mean, so we basically built out the whole store ourselves, and we had no idea about service flow and any, all that stuff that you should know when you're opening a a cafe. But so we kind of learned as we went, and then luckily we met Matthew, who kind of got us, he recommended the good gear. You know, he knew finally we had someone that was our coffee person, and thankfully he's still our coffee person. But yeah, so once we got him on board, it was like he could answer a lot of the questions coffee wise that we didn't exactly know the answers to. But then, I mean, so like, I guess the basics were there. Like the store, like retail selection is based off my personal taste pretty much. So that was a thing. That was just like me buying my favorite things and stocking the store with it. That part was easy for me, but I had never merchandised shelving. I'd never, you know, like all the displays and everything, that was totally new to me. So it's a lot of trial and error. I feel like when we look back at old pictures of the store, we're like, what the hell were we thinking? So we've learned a lot in the past 5.5 years for sure. I don't know if that's actually answering your question, but we literally had no clue what we were doing, but worked really hard and are luckily, thankfully still here.
Yeah, that does answer the question. I kind of was wondering more specifically, like, what was it like finding that space, and did it take a while?
Oh my God, yeah, this is a whole other podcast.
Is it?
Basically, Mike and I bought our building. It was on the city foreclosure list because it was literally collapsing into the building next door and was going to be demolished.
Oh my God.
So we put in 2 years of renovation work into the building before we even opened Superior.
Wow. 2 years?
Yeah.
I had no idea. So you had to fix this building structurally.
Yes, exactly. Before we could even start working on the cosmetic, like, fun stuff.
Oh my God!
So during this time, you are
working a day job.
Working a day job. You are paying for rent or mortgage on your house or your apartment, right? Like where you live.
Yeah.
And then you're also paying a second mortgage or rental on this building, I assume, right? Unless you paid for it in cash.
Wow.
Foreclosures can be cheap, but like
that is impressive.
Yeah.
We did pay for it in cash, but we were naive, and I think the contract we walked through was very optimistic. And so, you know, just like two young kids buying a building, had no clue like what to look for, what to ask about. We're just like, oh yeah, cool, let's do this. And then we bought it, and then we started figuring out all the things that were wrong with it.
Oh.
And then the whole process of getting loans approved and all that took so much time. We bought the building in 2013, and Superior didn't open until 2015.
Wow. And so during that 2 years, you were obviously, you said you had never owned a business before. You're learning about what the process is like to get those loans and what it takes to literally build a business from the ground up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So was it hard? Are there loans out there that are available for people who are looking to renovate foreclosed buildings?
It's really hard for sure. It took forever for us to get approved for the loan that we needed.
Wow.
Like 6+ months of just sitting and waiting.
And during that time, people are coming in and out of the building and looking at it, and essentially, like, it's almost like people are kind of like assessing and deciding. Well, financial companies are deciding whether or not they want to take a gamble on it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And did you have to do any like convincing on your own part, or like?
Yeah, I mean, we had to like show our business plan and show what we were trying to bring to the community, and like just show that we're trying to turn this little neighborhood that we're in now around a little bit, because it definitely was still pretty sketchy when we first bought the building. Our neighborhood is over here on 4th Street has changed so much in the past 5 years.
Big time. Well, and so here I say big time, but like I've only known it for the past 3.
What was it like 5+ years ago? Was like
when you first opened?
Yeah, there was like so Rare Form had just opened.
Yep.
Well, or they opened like a little bit before Superior did.
Okay.
But like, so there was no restaurants, there was no bars. Howway, the Chinese food place, was there. And No Name Design, the sign making place, was there. Yeah, so there was just really no bars or restaurants or any people walking around over here at all. And even like our first two, I guess, years, there was so little foot traffic over here that Superior kind of became more of like a destination spot versus like getting the foot traffic you would think it would get in downtown Troy.
People would come specifically for Superior merch and then leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say it's funny that you mentioned that, like, you know, Superior merch became a destination spot, because for me, it still kind of is like my first stop. I mean, now you guys have Bourbon and Wolf's there, which is like, I was like, this block is amazing now, my favorite section of Troy, you know? But like before Bourbon and Wolf's opened up, I would come to Superior merch and then I would like go down to Riverfront, you know?
Yeah. So luckily we're getting, you know, more and more stuff opening over here. And then I think it's going to spread even further down into South Troy, which is really exciting.
That is exciting. I love that you guys took a foreclosed building and then literally probably put blood, sweat, and tears into it. And not only that, you believed in it so much you were able to get the loans that you got. And then you opened up 2015. And what was the general reception like then for Soup merch?
Questionable. People really, the biggest question we would get is people would walk in and like kind of look around and you could see the questions just like running through their head, and then they would just say, "What is this place?" Like, we're in like a lot of bigger cities. I feel like the concept of having like multiple like revenue sources in one space is like pretty common. Yeah. Like the combination of like home goods and a cafe like was just like blowing people's minds, and just no one could really grasp it. But we have seemed to win people over.
I can only imagine. I mean, well, you know, it's like it's the whole idea of like a curio shop, you know, like there's so many different things available to you, and you go in and like each one's different from the other, and that's kind of the beauty of them, is that you know, one is cafe and retail, and then the other one is like clothing, and they also happen to have some handmade goods from someone like down the road, or like you know custom printing, things like that. Curio shops are great.
I know.
Yeah.
And to me, what Superior merch does, for me, is I walk into that space and I feel like I'm at home, right? It feels comforting. It feels like... I got to be honest, it makes me really want to spend a lot of money on stuff that I definitely like don't need right now. You know?
I'm doing my job.
Yeah, you're killing it. And then obviously, you guys have got the coffee. I love the back patio area. It obviously, businesses grow and change over time. From 2015 to now, what's like the biggest area of improvement that you would say Superior merch has had?
I mean, I think growth and acceptance in general. Like, people are, I don't know. One, as I'm sure you guys know, the coffee scene in the Capital Region has grown so much. Like, I mean, you know, we would go weeks and weeks without selling a single cortado the first year we were open because no one knew what the hell they were. And now, you know, like we make them constantly all day. But so it's just like, I feel like a lot of people are getting more into specialty coffee, or at least know what it is. And then also same thing, in the retail area too, at first I had to kind of like, I don't know if dumb down is the right phrase, but like I couldn't get a lot of the stuff that I really wanted to bring in, just like as far as price point and that kind of thing. But I really feel like the shopping, as like Troy as a shopping destination, has kind of grown a little bit too.
Troy has grown as a shopping destination. I've noticed more people parking down there and kind of walking around, checking places out. I mean, I do that now. I go down there a lot.
Kenzie had to drag me home. We went down to Soup Merch, just the two of us, a couple of months ago to just have a cup of coffee and get, change of scenery. And I like wanted to walk around and explore. She's like, she really had to drag me out of Troy. She was like, we gotta go home. Yeah, because it's like stuff to do that day. It was a weekend. And we had to do stuff around the house. She's like, come on, like let's just go check out Ernon's place. It's right around the corner,
Yeah.
So it's a city of friends now. I feel like all my favorite people live in Troy.
Yeah.
Except you.
Random question before we keep going. What's your preferred abbreviation for Superior Merchandising?
Oh my God, I literally was just gonna say, I think it's so interesting hearing what people abbreviate Superior Merchandise Company as.
I realize we've called it all three.
What did I just call it?
You called the Soup Merch.
Soup Merch.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's Soup Merch, Superior Merch. Some people just say merch. SMCO.
Yep.
Simco. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I think when I talk about it shorthand, just in conversation, I just say superior. I just think it's cool if people abbreviate it at all. I don't know.
Matt, what do you go with typically? You go Soup Merch? Is that what you say?
Soup Merch or Simco?
I say Simco.
Yeah, you
always
brought
say
me on to
Simco.
Simco.
Simco is so funny to me. I love it.
Yeah.
It's the first way I ever read it when I read it abbreviated in text, and I was like, oh, Simco. I like that.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Can I put in a little not well-known fact into the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, so not a lot of people know. I'm sure a lot of people wonder, like, why the hell did they name themselves that?
Yeah.
But the name came from, we were doing some research about the spaces that had previously been open in our building before we owned it. And in the 70s and 80s, there was like a novelty toy shop open in our space called Superior Merchandise Company.
Whoa. So this is like a nod to the past.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we don't just think we're the best. Like, we didn't just come up with that name out of the blue.
But that guy did.
Yeah, that guy did.
Thought he was the best for sure.
He sold whoopee cushions. He sold mood rings. A lot of types of flags.
Superior merchandise. That's what he sold.
A little bit of everything.
I feel like there was probably someone down the block called Just Merchandise and Co. And like he opened up.
And they had a tiff,
like, that was their version of competition.
So there's a little lesser fact.
I love that.
I'm totally in love with that.
I'm actually I've been looking at a space in Troy, and I'm going to open up Inferior Merchandise LLC. Just for some flavor. That's what I want down there. I'm not even gonna have much. Like people are gonna be like, "What do you have this week?" I'm like, bamboo mats. That's it.
Bamboo mats. I got bamboo mats and lawn chairs. That's it. It's so good.
God. All right.
I want to turn our attention now to entrepreneurial activity number 2. I could have been.
I like that. No, that was good. That was good.
Yep. So Touchy Coffee. Touchy Coffee is an interesting one to me because it already existed when I got into specialty, right? You guys have been. How long has Touchy Coffee been around?
Yeah,
now?
Was it there when you opened?
No. Well, I mean, the thought of it was always there.
Yeah.
Like, it was always there as an abstract thing. But Touchy Coffee was born in March 2018. I'm pretty positive.
Ooh,
nice.
All right.
So
it took us so long to decide on a name.
And we've talked to Matthew about the name Touchy Coffee for a long time, on and off. Because we've come to him with ideas for company names, and he's like, I have no place in this conversation. I named a coffee company Touchy. And I'm like,
I know, dude. I love that.
No, I love that.
Tell us about what Touchy Coffee is and why you named it that.
Yeah. So Touchy Coffee is kind of like the roasting sister business of Superior Merchandise Company. As you guys both know, our director of coffee, Matthew, had previous green buying and roasting experience from his prior job to Superior, and so we always knew we wanted to tap into that eventually, and so we finally did. And he just has like such an awesome way of talking about coffee and really appreciating it and getting others to think about coffee in a different light, the light that it should be talked about in. And yeah, I just remember Matthew just said to me one time, you know, just like how much of a miracle coffee is as a thing. Just like, and I don't know, until that moment, even as, you know, after opening a cafe, I don't know if I'd ever actually thought of it like that. But ever since, it's kind of just like, I don't know, I get really emotional thinking about it sometimes, like how much work goes into running the coffee farms, planting everything, harvesting, drying, fermenting, importing, exporting, and then roasting and then brewing, and just like how many hands touch those beans before they get to your cup and before you get to enjoy that cup of coffee. And it's just like, for all those things to happen, and for all those things to happen in ways that are successful in order to make this successful beverage that's in front of you, is just like kind of mind-blowing when you actually stop and think about it, you know?
Yeah.
And then you pour a bunch of milk into it.
Oh, Matt.
Hey,
I'm
you
sorry,
can
I
drink your
couldn't.
coffee however
Sometimes you
want.
yeah, sometimes you do, Matt.
I'm
Sometimes-
sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
don't. You don't, but
I'm
we know
sorry.
people who do.
Wait, Felicity,
Did you hear our bit?
did we send you that bit?
Did you hear
I would never like dump a bunch of milk into a geisha pour over. I'm not like saying it.
Exactly. Did you hear our fake commercial for it?
No.
We're gonna send it to you after the podcast.
It's so good.
You are going to cackle at
It's
it.
so
It is
good.
that funny. When I made it, I laughed myself to tears.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's how I know that I'm making something fun, is when I literally laugh myself to tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that's kind of like the concept behind the name, was just like how many hands touch the coffee before it finds its way to your cup, and like all, I don't know, everybody's hard work that comes together to make this thing happen. But then like the fact that almost the world consumes it as such a commodity thing that you just only drink it because you need energy is just like so sad to me sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just so happy that coffee is starting to get appreciated more for the special beverage that it is, in the same way that wine and whiskey and all other beverage categories are appreciated in ways.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually said to someone just the other day, a good friend of mine, she messaged me about coffee, and then we were chatting, and I was just like, coffee's the new wine. I was like, I don't know if people are saying that yet. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm saying it. I'm saying it now.
Love that.
Coffee's the new wine.
Okay, so I'm super into comparing the natural wine and coffee worlds and just like crossovers between things, or things like we have a new coffee coming out that is its varietal is referred to as a field blend, which is super common in the natural wine world.
Yeah.
I'd never heard it before in the coffee world, and I just like blew my mind. I was like stoked. I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, can you tell us what coffee that is so I can set money aside to order it?
It's a new Honduras that's coming out in 2 weeks.
All right, cool.
What's the I don't know how deep your knowledge goes on this specific kind of a process, or I guess pre-process, but what is a field blend? Because I certainly don't know, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to know.
Yeah, so basically in the wine world, a field blend is when a farmer or a producer takes bits of every varietal grown on their land and turns it into, so it's not really a blend because it's all, I guess it is a blend, but it's not a blend in that like you know how blends in coffee world are traditionally two different coffees roasted and then blended together?
Yes.
This is the coffee being blended together green. So it is a field blend, but not blend in the same sense as like what people traditionally think of as a blend in the coffee world. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is pre the process where you would be thinking about blending. It's pre.
Exactly.
It's that pre baby.
So yeah, it's basically a farmer taking a little bit of every varietal on their piece of land.
I love that concept because it's audacious. It's like, yes, everything was good. You know, like that to me, that's what someone said. They're like, everything was that good that I could throw it together and you're gonna love it.
Well, and I think it really gives you an overarching kind of taste of a time and a place in the wine world anyway. That's kind of like what it's always meant to me. And I feel like it's probably the same to that farmer. It like gives a true sense of time and place to this coffee, because it's all from, you know, the same terroir, same piece of property.
Yeah, it's almost like a time capsule for that year in that terroir.
Yeah. It just was like cool to me to finally see some crossover in language between the two industries. Okay. And I think we'll honestly probably continue to see that happen too. I'm super into hearing about fermentation processes and like experimental fermentation stuff going on in the coffee world. I just think it's really cool. Not that I think everything needs to be funky fermented, but I just personally like hearing about it. It's interesting.
Yeah. I personally prefer naturals, right? So I love to hear about the post. I love to hear about the process and the fermentation. Though I have heard some commentary in the coffee world about how right now the specialty coffee world is like so obsessed with fermentation.
The obsession with anaerobi.
Yeah, anaerobi.
Yeah. Okay, so Matthew and I were just talking about this morning.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not trying to shit on naturals in any way because I love them as much as the next guy. But we're saying, comparing to the craft beer world, how naturals are starting to get to be like the fruity, lactose, intense IPA that everyone's looking for, bro. That, whereas like, you know, the real bread and butter is like the washed Ethiopia or the super nice and nutty Brazil.
Yep.
You're absolutely right.
What you're saying is eventually there will be like a sector of coffee called the anaerobi. Got it. Got it.
Dad joke.
Mark it.
Dad joke marked. 4414.
So I actually I want to see more coffees that are talking about like the body. Like I would love to see more people marking what the body of a coffee is like on a bag, because I have noticed that there are flavors that I tend to lean toward when I see like that reminds us of, like there are certain things that when I see it I like almost want to grab it right away. But if someone tells me what the body of a coffee is like and it matches the consistency of the bodies of other beverages that I happen to choose to imbibe, I'm more likely to buy that over the one that might have the same flavor notes that I usually seek.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like with this highlight roast that we did this time around, I was super obsessed with the fermentation process because it was super unique, at least in my experience. Yeah, it was like they did like an aerobic fermentation. Mm-hmm. So like in open, they did like open tanks that were like wide and short.
Special tanks.
Yeah, so that they were oxidized for like a period of time, 16 hours or something, and then they put them in cold water tanks and then fermented them for a few days or
did
weeks.
Anaerobically.
Yeah. So it was like aerobic, anaerobic. But all that being said, it was also grown in a really, really like high quality environment. It was high altitude, volcanic soil, and these are Katura trees that were like really, you know, be able to be planted really close together. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is that like we're so obsessed with process right now in the coffee industry that people are starting to kind of forget about like just quality in agriculture and growing.
Quality and equity, yeah.
Yeah.
So touchy becomes a concept. It's finally birthed around 2018. Was there an extensive process as a co-owner leading up to? Did you feel any of the pressure of like the branding and things that were,
Yeah, of
the corner
course.
for you?
I put off doing the branding for months and months because I was so nervous and hell-bent that like I wasn't good enough to do it, because we just see this brand going like places, and I was like really nervous that I couldn't create a look and feel that was like good enough for my own like high, I don't know, just like high expectations.
Yeah, you were having a little bit of imposter syndrome there.
Yeah, so, but then I finally sat down and started working on it, and am now really happy with it, for sure. It's just like really, really friendly, really approachable, has a lot of tactile, kind of touchy-feeliness going on with the packaging, a lot of different textures there, which is really important to me to incorporate.
Yeah. Well, I was actually going to say that. Yeah, your bags have a nice feel to them.
Yeah, they're so nice, and they're carbon neutral, which is great.
Oh, that's great. That's the best part.
Love that.
I know some people probably don't care, but like that's awesome.
Those people suck, and those people need to start caring. I'm not a crowd pleaser, okay? Like, let's be real here. If you don't like carbon neutral things, you can just get the fuck out.
Yeah. That's cool, man. All 10 of you stay. All 10 of you.
Yeah, I know, right? Felicity's like, what's that like?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't own and operate two companies yet. Just one, and we don't have a shop. So
nope. So you can say those things right now.
I guess so.
And then later someone will get mad.
Then I'll get subtweeted, and then I'll get canceled, and
then you have to go hang out with James Gunn. So sorry, we're just on tangents now. So you did like come around to, in a very classic graphic designer fashion, of eventually designing your bags and then feeling confident in it. And then, you released this coffee company at that point. Did you have enough like faith to just kind of be like, all right, cool, I've done everything that I can to this point, and let me know when you need things for it? Or did you still have like a week-to-week activity that you were performing for that company at the same time you were still developing, still growing Simcoe?
Yeah, so honestly, we didn't have the like true touchy coffee branding. There was a lot of like I don't know if you guys saw like our first round of bags. Like we had like rough draft packaging that was like a stand-in logo, like super quick and dirty stand-in logo, and like just bags that we were trying out.
I don't think I saw those.
I'll send you guys pictures.
Oh, please.
If you scroll back far enough in our Instagram, you'll see what they look like.
Ooh.
So
all
it
right.
was basically like a working logo, working packaging. We were working through our way through different bags to see what we like the best, that kind of thing. So there was like multiple iterations. And then finally, when I'm not really sure what made us finally decide on everything, or if it was for a specific reason or not, but we finally chose the bags we wanted. And then I started figuring out, all the different packaging, stickers and all that. And then, we just launched our website finally about a month ago, I think now.
And that website is a bop.
Yeah.
It's
love
good
it.
fire, isn't it? Yeah.
It's
I'm like
so
obsessed
good.
with it.
It's really good.
So, yeah. I creative directed the website, but I didn't design it or develop it. We hired that out.
Yo, I have another touchy coffee question that I've been really excited to talk to you about. So you've done a couple of substantial things in the last sort of like month or two, right? You launched your website. You also launched the most expensive coffee you have ever offered.
Yeah.
And I know that there was some, kind of nervousness around like how it would be received. This is the Carlos Belalcazar, that washed geisha that you have.
That we love.
I just happily spent $52 on a 12-ounce bag of geisha a few days ago. Oh my
God. I know, it's still so wild to me. We were all pretty nervous about it. Matthew nervous that like, can he roast this coffee up to his own standards of what he knows it needs to be. And then like me figuring out, I know you guys probably saw it has like a kind of special label system to it that is a little bit different than our normal packaging. We were all kind of like a little nervous, but then it was received really, really well.
Because I think you guys have spent the last, oh gosh, I mean, even probably pre-Touchy, right? You've spent, let's say, the last 5 or 6 years creating a community around Superior Merchandise, around your brand, and talking about how coffee is a miracle and talking about the value of coffee. And you finally, after all this time, say, you know, we're taking a risk on this product. We really believe in it. And you have the whole story wrapped up behind it and why it's so special. And people who know you and trust you and listen to, you know, what you have to say, like myself, like Kevin, we're happy to drop that money and stoked to, every time I make that coffee at work. Like I work in an office where they drink Folgers from like the bun. You know,
oh my God, you're brewing that there.
I'm brewing it in front of them, not on the bun brewer. Thank God, I have an AeroPress and a kettle, and people make fun of me because I'm the token millennial. But I was drinking a $50 Bel Alcazar next to my buddy who was drinking a friggin' Folgers. So like my life at work is pretty dope.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure you can tell like the difference between the two. Like it would be in a commercial. It's like, look at this guy, and he's like looking at his spreadsheets, right? And then it's like, and then there's Matt, and you're just over there like pouring. You're like, yeah, all right.
So the launcher that went really well. We're still selling a lot of it. It's getting close to being sold out now, but still, like, it's been nice having it on pour over bar at Superior, because like people that don't necessarily want to drop that much on a bag of beans can still experience it for a lower price point.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, we just did a lot of back end work, making sure our staff was educated and able to talk about it to people that had questions. Because we never want to seem overly pretentious, like, why do you have this expensive of a coffee? But on the other hand, you know, every other beverage category has its best of the best. It's Grand Cru, it's whatever aged whiskey. I don't really know anything about whiskey, but like, you know, like super aged whatever whiskey. Every category has their best thing, and that's just what the geisha varietal is in the coffee world.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's that single barrel, you know, that 23-year-old single barrel. It's that Grand Cru, you know, or even the higher end Cru Bourgeois. Like it's definitely, it falls into those categories. And I think that's an important move in the coffee industry. I think that's a huge door that's been opened up by this.
It feels really good to finally be at a point with the coffee community here and in our business that we can finally offer a coffee of that quality. It's like really exciting.
Yeah, and it's not like you took off other coffees, you know, like other coffees still exist in the world. Like you can get whichever level you want.
Just here for the coffee freaks that get super stoked about it.
And we are freaks.
I'm freaky and stoked. That's for sure.
Good, just how we like it.
Yep. Yeah. I want to finish this thought by saying, by reiterating an analogy I use all the time when it comes to like value and coffee, which is what people forget or they have a hard time grasping is that you can have a cup of some of the best coffee in the entire world for less than $10.
Yeah.
But how much would it cost you to go to a bar and get a glass of the best whiskey in the world or some of the best whiskey in the world? $500? $1,000?
I mean, you're definitely flexing your wallet at that point.
You're flexing.
For sure.
It's a flex. So like that's really the miracle here.
Are you saying expensive coffee is the poor man's flex or
for
like
sure.
the humble man's flex?
Yeah.
The working man's flex.
The working man's flex. I love it. Felicity, you've got a ton of experience, and like you said, you know, like the 2-year period leading up to the opening of like Superior Merch, Soup Merch, Simcoe Merch, whatever you want to call it, that could be its own podcast. But really, I think a really important thing that I think you might have something to say on, and it would impart a little tidbit for somebody who might be thinking that they want to dip their toes into the entrepreneurial pool. What are like a couple of things, like 2 or 3 things that you would say are the most important for starting and building a brand for someone who doesn't know where to start?
Okay. My first and most important thing would be you have to be hella sure this is what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not, if you can't dedicate 1,000% of your time, energy, brain power, life, sacrifice everything for this thing, then there's no point in doing it.
Because you'll fall short a lot of the time.
Yeah, and honestly, there's just so many businesses that close after a year or like turn really shitty after a few years, and it's, in my opinion, I mean, it's, for a variety of reasons, whatever, but I just think it's so important for owners to be 100% committed. And like, I think that's me and Mike and also Matthew too. This is our world. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we've been so successful.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to add in for people who would be thinking about starting a brand? Like a couple other tidbits that you've maybe learned along the way or that you've learned in college that were important?
Yeah, I would say, like, do as much as you can yourself, but then also know when to hire out the important things that, like, maybe, it isn't your cup of tea. Like, for instance, like, if you're not really good at branding or graphic design, like, I think good logo and good packaging and stuff is super important now. That's not me trying to get you to hire me either.
But you're hired anyway.
Yeah. We were trying to figure out the right time and place to tell you that this is actually a job interview.
Yeah.
I just think it's really important to do as much as you can yourself, but then also realize when maybe you have to bring in an expert or someone that's super more knowledgeable in whatever the specific thing is.
Yes.
I want to ask sort of like a pushback on that, which is, how do you feel about delegation? Because there's hiring out expertise and then there is delegation. And as an owner, you are doing so many things and you're responsible for so much. Mm-hmm. When is it okay to say, I'm going to delegate some of these lower priority items so I can focus on, looking at the whole chessboard as opposed to moving one?
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
Oh, all right.
I think we're finally getting a GM this year, hopefully, for Superior. So that'll be big for me. It's been, I don't know, it's just like Superior's my baby. And so like getting a GM for me is kind of like when your kid goes to school, I think. Like when your kid goes to kindergarten, and you're letting them go into someone else's hands. And it's, I don't know, slightly terrifying and nerve-wracking, but obviously will end up being good.
Oh yeah,
right. Because then your baby will know how to make will know how to make a flat white by itself, and you'll be able to,
yeah.
I don't know how was that?
No, I love this. I love where you're going with this. Yeah, babies making flat whites. I love it. Well, that's awesome. I obviously, from your experiences, from the journey that you've been on, you have a wealth of information that we could attempt to tap into right now, but I think we would just find ourselves racking our brains and possibly asking circuitous questions. Let's wrap this up with our 2 favorite questions. Matt, you want to shoot the first one?
Yeah. Felicity, what is in your mug? If not right now, what was in your mug this morning? What are you drinking?
Yeah, what kind of coffee?
All right, so I am one of those iced coffee all year round type of people.
Love it.
We applaud you.
I would say my workhorse is iced coffee, preferably African, with a tiny bit of cream. I know.
Cool.
But then when I'm treating myself, cortado, or when I'm out, in the world in another city, I do cortado to stay, iced coffee to go.
Ooh, yeah.
Which is the move. That's the move.
Yeah, you're thinking ahead.
Yeah. But then also I'm like super into I'm into natural wine right now. So that's kind of like after hours mug.
Ooh, what any particular natural wine that you're getting into?
There's a local winery down in the Hudson Valley called Wild Ark Farm that is like one of my all-time favorite producers. They're amazing. And all their grapes are grown, not all their grapes, but a lot of their grapes are grown in Upstate and then on Long Island. So it's like local grapes too, which I think is cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Oh, so cool.
I like
love
that.
that. I do want to say that reminds me, I haven't acknowledged this on the podcast in a while, but Kevin, you were more than 6 months sober.
More than 7.
More than 7 months sober.
Yeah,
dude.
I just want to
Thank you.
say I'm so fucking proud of you, and you're killing it.
Thank you, man. Sparkling botanicals are becoming my new thing now. Have you guys seen those?
No.
Oh,
Tell me
Kat
about it.
Melheim's been getting into them. People are infusing botanical herbs and some of the it's very similar to kombucha, but it's not kombucha.
Yeah.
Right? But they're called sparkling botanicals now, and I've been seeing a lot of advertisements for those and like
Yeah, I feel like I've seen those too. Like internet targeted Instagram ads.
Yep.
Yeah, the fucking Instagram ads are
they're great right now.
Well, they're good. They're also,
great.
They're like
They've been helping me.
Yeah, I saw
Ours are helping me. Yeah.
I saw an ad for hop water the other day. I was like, they know.
That's me.
They know.
They know me. Yeah. Quick question, just because we've mentioned kombucha a few times, and I know that you do design work for people. Do you happen to do the design work for Yes Folk? Because I do.
I do.
Yes.
Oh!
I knew it.
Wow.
I had a feeling.
Oh my God, that's great.
That's
yeah.
very
No, I
impressive.
had a feeling. I've
Exactly
always.
what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I've always liked their branding, and it's not the same, and I wouldn't even call it highly similar to, but I have noticed a little bit of like, I guess I would say that it's a little bit of your aesthetic and your font preference, because I'm like picking up on these things over time as I'm looking around, and I really liked theirs, and I like how like they're very simple, and you tend to go with I've noticed you like smoothness in your design. Like the things that go out into the world that you've touched have like a relative smooth, like when I pick up Yes Folk, there's nothing harsh about it. There's nothing sharp about it. It's very smooth. It's very welcoming. It's like open hands instead of a pointing finger, like it's very smooth.
Right. You always lead them. You never.
Yeah.
That's a service industry thing I remember learning years and years ago. You never point at stuff. If somebody says, "Where's the bathroom?" You never point. You lead them with an open hand. You say, "It's over that way."
Yeah.
I love that.
It's super
That's
cool.
what I'm doing with my graphic design work. No one's
You
ever
are.
said that.
You are, for those of us who are paying attention.
Aw, Kev.
So that's super cool that you do this.
I appreciate that, Kevin.
You're welcome. It's well deserved. Matt, what's in our mug this week?
Yeah, a lot.
You're gonna like this.
So earlier today, I already brought up the Carlos Bel Alcazar, so I did have some of that today.
Oh, you did? Nice.
I was brewing up our highlight roast this morning.
Mm-hmm. Guava banana.
Great
stuff.
Double fermented Caturra from Colombia.
Yep.
Super, super fucking juicy and a little funky.
For all you anaerobies out there.
All your anaerobies. And then right now we're drinking a coffee from Knockabout.
Yes, from Nick Fernia.
Yeah, he gave this to us as a little gift.
Yeah, he's awesome.
When we were roasting with him.
He really is. And we've actually noticing patterns, we've noticed that he tends to lean into with his development of coffees, especially certain ones that he gets really into bringing in. He tends to lean into this really interesting citrus note that's becoming kind of a like mark of his. Yeah, you ever have a coffee that has like a tomato citrus to it?
Not off the top of my head, but it sounds cool.
It's very interesting. I like Nick Fernie and I we'll joke about it. We call them lunch coffees.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
Right? Like, yeah, we call them lunch coffees, and it was perfect because it really it's the first coffee I've had today, first off, which was very interesting.
Impressive.
Right? Final question though, probably the most important question of the entire podcast. What are you listening to? What's your jam? What's is there like a band or a song or like an album that you've been really into lately?
So yeah.
Okay.
I have a favorite band and I'm obsessed with them. It's a band called Pine Grove.
Oh, I love Pine Grove.
Oh yeah, I love Pine Grove.
Okay, yeah. So me and Matthew, we went through a big Pine Grove phase, and I've had to like wean myself off of them a little bit. You know that thing where you listen to an album so much that you kind of are like making yourself sick of it? I was doing that, and so I had to like wean myself off them. But I'm back because it's springtime. It's music that makes me like super happy. I love singing to it. Me and Matthew, whenever we work together at the store, we'll put it on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they kind of live around here. So every once in a while, some of the band will pop into the store, which is very cool. I get starstruck.
Matt, what's your jam?
I got this one. So this was a recommendation from Kieran Mangles. Yeah, and it's kind of a bop. I'm gonna pull it up.
Is it perhaps?
Oh boy,
he might have sent it to me.
He probably sent it to you.
Is
too.
it perhaps BJ the Chicago Kid?
That's exactly it. I listened to it. I was like, "Yo, I
love
so
BJ.
good."
Yeah. He sent it to us at the same time. I bet.
Totally.
Felicity, you ever heard of BJ the Chicago Kid?
No.
He's good. He's done some work with like Anderson .Paak and Anderson .Paak and some really good. I've had to correct that recently. I've been saying his name wrong ever since I listened to him. He's done a lot of really great work. He's got a super good vibe to him. Really great voice, like super classic Motown feel.
Cool.
Yeah, really good guy.
Fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, little tidbit to your Pine Grove thing. I actually learned about them from another local band who loves them called Grape Juice.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know that band either.
They are not old enough to drink or play in bars yet, but they played a bar which will remain nameless. And I caught them at it like a year ago and they were like, this song's by a band called Pine Grove, and it was like my second favorite song that they played. So I went home and listened to Pine Grove that night. Was like, oh cool, well I'll add this to the rotation.
Yep.
I brought on what I'm believing is a specialty just for you, because I believe that for you, Bay is Drake, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Drake.
Oh my God. Matt went through a Drake kick.
The Pfeiffer family is always in
on a Drake kick?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And him bringing that to the podcast 2 weeks in a row sent me on a Drake kick, right?
Yeah,
so we're just
baby.
doing a Drake wave now.
Oh, it's the Drake ting, man.
And we're doing the Drake ting.
It's the island ting,
He's
man.
a bad boy and he has tings.
Yeah.
I love, and I went back to listening to So Far Gone. I went back to his early stuff, and that cover of Little Bit that he does with Lika Lee is like, oh, such a good jam.
I'll have to go back and listen to
It's
that.
a feel good jam. It's a pop song, but it's Drake.
Old Drake doesn't do it for me. Yeah, I know it's a hot take.
Yeah, no, I feel the same kind of.
Really?
I feel like because he was.
Wait, but old Drake on what's that show we used to be on?
Oh, Degrassi?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not talking about Wheelchair Jimmy.
I could get down with Wheelchair Jimmy.
I'm talking about, So Far Gone, Thank Me Later.
To me, it seems like he was still coming into his own as a rapper. His inflections and his intonation was just kind of it doesn't do it for me the way that like
you just cringed. Yeah,
because I really love fucking like Views I love.
Oh my God, Views! Yeah,
one of my favorites for sure.
That's so funny. I'm the odd man out on this.
Yeah.
I really feel like he like Nothing Was the Same was like one of my favorites, and
Nothing Was
and
the
everything
same.
Before that I love more than the new stuff now.
I picked up Nothing Was the Same. That was like when I jumped on the Drake train.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh man. I got on when I heard the song Shut It Down for the first time with The Dream. Yeah, that was my Drake jump off in like 2010.
Going home.
Oh, love that song. All right, well that's all we got.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Other than have a great day and keep designing awesome, tactile, smooth things for us to enjoy, please.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Felicity, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually do all the social media for Superior Merch, Touchy Coffee. My personal Instagram, if you want to get more dog and graphic design content, is at Miss Felice. My website, if you happen to want to hire me or check out my work, is felicityjonesforever.com. Yeah.
Love it.
And is that a 4, like the number 4 ever? Because that would have been tight.
Actually, I wish it's not.
Yeah.
I wish we thought of that.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great Saturday. Go enjoy Pine Grove and sunshine.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to Bagel Sunday. So.
Hell yeah, me too. Jalapeno cheese this week.
Are you working tomorrow?
Yeah, every Saturday and Sunday.
You work every Sunday?
Every Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, hot damn.
Yeah.
Well,
are you guys coming?
I'm actually considering it now.
Yeah, I mean,
because I actually just realized I don't think I have anything planned.
I don't think I do either.
You want to go?
Little trip down?
Yeah, patio's open.
I think we know what we're doing on our Sunday, Matt.
I think we have a good idea.
Thank you, Felice, so much.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Saturday.